Hello students, today I'll be taking up some important problems from the miscellaneous exercise. Let's start with question number 10. It says I is equal to sin raised by 8x minus cos raised by 8x upon 1 minus 2 sin squared x cos squared x. We have to integrate this. So let us first simplify the integrand. For that we'll first take up the numerator of the integrand, which is sin raised by 8x minus cos raised by 8x. Here we will make use of the property of a squared minus b squared is a minus b into a plus b, treating a as sin raised by 4x and b as cos raised by 4x. So we get these two terms. Now this being difference of two fourth powers can further be simplified using again the a squared minus b squared property, treating a as sin squared x and b as cos squared x. So we get sin squared x plus cos squared x into sin squared x minus cos squared x, and the next term remains as it is, that is sin raised by 4x plus cos raised by 4x. Now we know that sin squared x plus cos squared x is 1. So we get here 1. Also we know that cos squared x minus sin squared x is cos 2x. So taking minus common, we get this is equal to minus cos 2x. And the third term gets carried down as it is. Now let's simplify the third term. So these two terms together give us minus cos 2x, and converting this into a perfect square, we get treating a as sin squared and b as cos squared. So we have a squared, that is sin 4x, plus b squared, that is cos 4x, plus 2 times a into b, that is sin squared x into cos squared x. Since we have added this term, we have to also subtract this term. Now these first three terms together form sin squared x plus cos squared x whole squared, and this term gets carried down as it is. So ultimately we get minus cos 2x times 1 minus 2 sin squared x cos squared x. Now, so writing the integrand, we observe that the denominator is the same as the term which we have obtained in the brackets. They get cancelled out and the integrand gets converted to minus cos 2x. And so the question which looked so difficult now has got simplified to a simple integrand, that is minus cos 2x, which can be easily integrated as minus sin 2x over 2 plus c. Now let's take up question number 18, which is extremely important from the board point of view. It says that I is equal to integral of 1 upon square root of sin cube x into sin of x plus alpha. Now what we do is, within this square root, if we multiply and divide by sin x, what happens is this gets converted to sin raised by 4x, which can come outside the square root to become sin squared x, which ultimately goes to the numerator to become cosec squared x. So let's see how we can do this. So multiplying and dividing the denominator by sin x. So when I say denominator, I mean within the square root. So what I get is I is equal to 1 upon square root of sin raised by 4x. This gets carried down as it is, that is sin of x plus alpha. And since we have multiplied here by sin x, we have to also divide, which is upon sin x. This sin squared x comes outside, becomes sin squared x, which goes up and becomes cosec squared x. And we are left with square root of sin x plus alpha upon sin alpha in the denominator. Now let's simplify the denominator. So open up this sin of x plus alpha, we get rest all remains the same, that is cosec squared x dx over square root of sin x cos alpha plus cos x sin alpha whole upon sin x. Now open this or split this numerator, we get this cosec squared x dx remains as it is upon square root of. Now here sin x gets cancelled, you are left with cos alpha, and here sin alpha is as it is and cos x over sin x becomes cot x. Now we know that this cosec squared x is a derivative of cot x. So if we put this denominator, the portion which is within the square root as t, cosec squared x dx will get absorbed in dt. So let's see how we can do that. Putting cos alpha plus sin alpha cot x as t, we get minus sin alpha, because the derivative of cos alpha is 0, and here this being a constant, sin alpha remains as it is. It's only cot x which gets differentiated. So minus sin alpha cosec squared x dx is equal to dt. From here we get the value of cosec squared x dx as minus dt by sin alpha, which we substitute here to get I is equal to minus 1 upon sin alpha integral of 1 upon square root of t dt, which goes up becomes t raised power minus half, which on integration becomes t raised power half upon half. Minus 1 upon sin alpha remains as it is, and plus a constant. Substituting the value of t again in terms of x, we get this 2 comes up, so minus 2 over sin alpha, and in place of t we write cos alpha plus sin alpha cot x square root plus c. Now this was what we got after simplifying sin x plus alpha over sin x. So we write it again in terms of this because the question has it in this form. So this can be further written in terms of sin of x plus alpha over sin x plus a constant, which is the answer. Now coming to question number 24. It says that I is equal to integral of square root of x squared plus 1 log of x squared plus 1 minus 2 log x whole upon x raised power 4. So let's first simplify this integrand again as the previous two questions. So what do we get? This being a, now here we have it like this within brackets. So first we simplify the log function. It gets simplified to log of x squared plus 1 upon x square. And it is already multiplied to square root of x squared plus 1, and x raised power 4 is in the denominator. Now what we do is we split this x raised power 4 into x into x cube. 1x cube gets written here, and 1x goes within the square root and becomes x square. So that this becomes square root of x squared plus 1 over x squared log of x squared plus 1 over x squared and dx over x cube. Now we put this term as t, which means 1 plus 1 upon x squared as t. So we get minus 2 dx over x cube as dt. Substituting, we get dx over x cube gets absorbed in dt, and so we get I is equal to minus half integral of t raised power half because of this term log t into dt. Now it's a product of two functions which have to be integrated. So using integration by parts, treating log t as the first function and t raised power half as the second, we get I is equal to minus half, and this integral of the first into first function into integral of the second, that is log t into t raised power 3 by 2 upon 3 by 2 minus integral of derivative of log, which is 1 upon t, into integral of the second one into dt, which on simplifying gives us this term. Taking t raised power 3 by 2 common, we are left with log t minus 2 by 3 plus a constant. Substituting t in terms of x, we get this as the answer. Now let's take up the next question, which is question number 26. It says that, now this is a question which is based on definite integrals. It says integral 0 to pi by 4 sin x cos x over cos raised power 4x plus sin raised power 4x dx. Now we had done it earlier also, that whenever we have such a case that in the denominator we have sum of even powers of cos and sin, and in the numerator there is a product of sin and cos. What we do is, especially what we stress upon is the denominator. Whenever we have this kind of a term, we take out the even power of cos as common. So taking cos raised power 4x common, we are left with 1 plus tan raised power 4x. Now let's see outside. 1 cos x gets cancelled, 1 sin x and 1 cos x becomes tan x, and 1 cos squared x is still left, which goes up and becomes sec squared x. So this gets simplified to tan x into sec squared x dx upon 1 plus tan raised power 4x. Now clearly, if we put tan x as t, sec squared x dx becomes dt, and this can get simplified, but in that case we'll have to make substitution twice. So instead what we do is we put tan squared x as t, so that the entire numerator gets absorbed in the derivative in one step only. So putting tan squared x as t, 2 tan x sec squared x dx is dt. Then we change the limits. When x is 0, t is 0, x is pi by 4, t is 1. So the integral gets simplified to half of, now integral, the limits are from 0 to 1, these limits are for t now. The whole numerator becomes dt and the denominator becomes 1 plus t square, which is in the standard form, whose integral is tan inverse t. Applying the limits, we get tan inverse 1, which is pi by 4, minus tan inverse 0, which is 0. So ultimately we get the result as pi by 8. Now let's take another similar kind of a question where we have in the denominator sum of even powers of cos. So here the maximum power of cos is 2, so we take out cos squared outside. But there is already 1 cos squared in the numerator, so both the cos squared terms get cancelled. We are left with 1 upon 1 plus 4 times tan squared x. In this, if we put tan x as t, we get sec squared x dx as dt. Now sec squared x is missing here, so what we can write is dx becomes dt by sec squared x, which can be replaced with 1 plus tan squared x. So dx can be written as dt upon 1 plus tan squared x, which can be replaced in terms of t as 1 plus t squared. And this term is as it is there, 1 plus 4t squared. So ultimately we get half of integral of dt upon 1 plus t squared into 1 plus 4t squared. Now on changing limits, we get the limits in terms of t get replaced to 0 to infinity. Now here, since we are dealing with only even powers of t, so before resolving into partial fractions, we replace this t squared by u. So this integrand becomes 1 upon 1 plus u into 1 plus 4u, which on resolving into partial fractions gives us minus 1 over 3 times 1 plus u plus 4 upon 3 times 1 plus 4u. Again replacing u back in terms of t squared, we get minus 1 upon 3 times 1 plus t squared plus 4 upon 3 times 1 plus 4t squared. So the integral now becomes, half is already there, integral of this plus integral of this, both from 0 to infinity. Now let us evaluate it. The integral of 1 upon 1 plus t squared is tan inverse t, whereas the integral of this, in this case what we can do is we can take out 4 common. It becomes 1 upon 4 plus t squared. So now integral of this is 1 upon half, because a is half. Tan inverse t upon a, that is half, which on simplifying gives us, just put the values of tan inverse t as infinity minus t as 0, which gets simplified to pi by 12. Now coming to the next question, we have I is equal to, from pi by 6 to pi by 3, sin x plus cos x over square root of sin 2x. Now whenever we have such kind of a question where in the numerator we have sin x plus cos x and in the denominator some function dealing with sin 2x, we always proceed in a particular manner, that is, here if it is sin x plus cos x, we take sin x minus cos x as t. Same procedure will be followed in the question number 30, which is similar, sin x plus cos x. Upon, instead of square root of sin 2x, we have 9 plus 16 sin 2x. Means a function dealing with sin 2x. Same procedure will be followed to solve this question also. So at the moment I am solving question number 28. So here the main thing is that we observe that in the numerator we have sin x plus cos x, and in the denominator we have a term involving sin 2x. So putting sin x minus cos x as t. When you differentiate, you get cos x plus sin x dx as dt. That is, the entire numerator gets absorbed in dt. You change the limits. When x is pi by 6, t is half minus root 3 by 2. When x is pi by 3, t is root 3 by 2 minus half. Now this, since root 3 by 2 is bigger than half, we can write it as minus of root 3 minus 1 by 2. And this is root 3 minus 1 by 2. Also, let's simplify the denominator. Now we have kept sin x minus cos x as t. Squaring both sides, we get sin squared x plus cos squared x minus 2 sin x cos x will be t squared, which gives us 1 minus sin 2x is t squared, which gives us the value of sin 2x as 1 minus t squared. So now, writing the numerator and denominator in terms of t, what we get is I is equal to, the numerator gets absorbed in dt, and in the denominator, instead of sin 2x, we'll be writing 1 minus t squared. Under root is as it is. The limits get changed to minus root 3 minus 1 by 2 to root 3 minus 1 by 2. Now this is again in the standard form. Replacing the integral, we get sin inverse x, and the limits are put. So after substituting the limits, here we get sin inverse minus theta something. Sin inverse minus theta is minus of sin inverse theta. So this becomes plus. So we get sum of two identical terms. The answer is 2 times sin inverse root 3 minus 1 upon 2. Let's take up the next question now. Question number 32. This is yet another tricky question. Now what we have is I is equal to 0 to pi x tan x upon sec x plus tan x. Now first of all, we want to remove this x from the numerator. Now, and the whole procedure, as we've already done similar questions, involves applying property P4. So applying property P4, we get 0 to I is equal to 0 to pi. Instead of x, we will be writing pi minus x. So wherever we have x, we replace it by pi minus x. Now let's see what we get. Pi minus x is as it is. Now tan of pi minus x is minus tan x. Same way, sec of pi minus x is also negative of sec x, and tan of pi minus x is also negative of tan x. So minus sign can be taken common from here, and minus sign is already here. These two minus signs get cancelled, and you are back with pi minus x times tan x over sec x plus tan x. Call it equation number 2. Adding 1 and 2, we get 2y is equal to, now here it is x tan, the denominators are the same. Here it is x tan x, and here it is pi minus x tan x. So x tan x and minus x tan x gets cancelled. We are left with pi tan x over sec x plus tan x. Now what we do is, we have to now further simplify it. So now if you again put pi minus x here, so similar thing, you are back to the same function as this. Rather than that, what we do is we convert to sine and cos. So converting to sine and cos, we are getting sine x over 1 plus sine x. Now applying P6, taking pi as 2a. So what we get is, we know that sine of pi minus x, that is 2a minus x, is the same as sine x. So this is an identical function, becomes twice of the limit gets replaced with 0 to a instead of 0 to 2a. So you get twice of I equal to twice of pi. Now here you get the change is 0 to pi by 2. The function remains as it is. Now this 2 and this 2 gets cancelled and we are left with this function. Now how do we simplify it? Multiplying and dividing by 1 minus sine x. Opening the brackets and simplifying, we get sec x tan x minus tan squared x. So it is pi times integral 0 to pi by 2 sec x tan x. Now here we know the integral of sec x tan x, we leave it as it is, but tan squared x, we don't know the integral, we convert it to sec squared x. So tan squared x is sec squared x minus 1. Because of the minus sign already there, we get minus sec squared x plus 1. Now we apply the limits. The first limit, that is limit of when you put pi by 2 for sec x as well as tan x, it is not defined at pi by 2. Both are giving you infinity. So we will show it in the next page how to simplify this. But ultimately we get, in the limiting case, sec pi by 2 minus tan pi by, sec x minus tan x as x tends to pi by 2 is 0. This becomes pi by 2 minus, when you put x equal to 0, this is sec 0 and this is 0 and this is 0. Sec 0 is 1 and so on. Simplifying, we get the result as pi by 2 times pi minus 2. Now let's see how we have got this 0 in place of the value of sec x minus tan x at pi by 2. Now here what we do is we find limit. Now obviously the interval is from 0 to pi by 2, so it will be limit from the left of pi by 2. So it is limit x tending to pi by 2, this converting to sine and cos, we get this result. Now what we do is we can convert this using the property of cos 2x. Okay, so this becomes cos squared x by 2 minus sine squared x by 2. Here also 1 can be written as cos squared x by 2 plus sine squared x by 2, and minus this can be written as 2 times sine x by 2 cos x by 2. So ultimately the numerator gets converted to cos x by 2 minus sine x by 2 whole squared. Denominator is cos squared x by 2 minus sine squared x by 2. Now using property a squared minus b squared is a minus b into a plus b. One of the factors get cancelled with the numerator. We are left with cos x by 2 minus sine x by 2 upon cos x by 2 plus sine x by 2. On putting this limit, we get, now as x tends to pi by 2, this x by 2 will become pi by 4. So you get 1 upon root 2 minus 1 upon root 2 upon sum of these two. So which gives us 0 straight away. And that's how we get over there in the integral value as 0. Now taking up the last question for today's video, that is question number 33. Integral of from 1 to 4 of sum of 3 modulus functions. So easiest way of doing it is that treat them as 3 different integrals and solve them individually. So just write them as I1 plus I2 plus I3, where I1 is integral 1 to 4 mod of x minus 1, I2 is this, and I3 is this. Now redefine all these 3 modulus functions. We get modulus of x minus 1 is x plus 1, x minus 1 when x is greater than or equal to 1, and it is negative when x is less than 1. Same way, x minus 2 is positive on the right side of 2, negative on the left side of 2. And modulus of x minus 3 is positive on the right side of 3 and negative on the left side of 3. So I1, if you just notice, in the entire interval 1 to 4, x is on the right of 1, so there is only one definition, that is positive of x minus 1, which can be solved. For I2, in the interval 1 to 2, the value of x is on the left, whereas from 2 to 4 it is on the right. So here we have from 1 to 2 negative plus from 2 to 4 positive. Same way, the third integral can be also converted into two parts. 1 to 3 it is negative and 3 to 4 it is positive. So solve them individually and add them and we get the required result. Thank you.